I'm here with Grammy Award-winning R&B pop singer, songwriter Howard Hewett. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Um, you're from Akron, Ohio, where they recently renamed Cadillac Boulevard Howard Hewett Jr. Way a few days ago on October 2nd.
October 2nd. Yep, definitely. We had a great time. And my birthday was the day before, and this is the first time I spent my birthday in Akron at my hometown in like years. So, and then the next day it was a commemoration of the Cadillac Boulevard, which is the street that I grew up on, and it'll be along with Cadillac Boulevard. I didn't want them to take the Cadillac Boulevard off because I always thought, even when I was a kid, I always thought how cool it was that we lived on Cadillac Boulevard. So it's Howard Hewitt Jr. honoring my dad, and way. So it's like, it was a big deal. And a lot of times, you have stuff that's going on, that leads up to that. Because we started talking about it before COVID, and then COVID shut everything down. So of course, um, like to really it to come to fruition, man, it was amazing. It was really amazing.
That's a huge honor. Growing up, did you ever imagine that something like that would happen?
Oh no, growing up, you never imagine somebody they're gonna rename, put your name on a street in your hometown forever. But it's a program also that I talked to the mayor, and it's a program that they're gonna continue because we've had a whole lot of talent that came out of Akron, Ohio, including my mom. My mom, Charlena Hewitt Brown, she remarried, and her last name was Brown. She's done a lot for the community throughout the years. She's passed on now. She passed away in '92, but she would be a candidate also that I would submit to the city board, to consider as well.
Wow, that's incredible. So you pretty much came from a musical family because I know you started singing professionally at 10 with your sisters.
At 10 years old, yeah. The family, I mean, my mom, she had a radio broadcast. She was also a major gospel promoter in the Akron, Cleveland, Canton area. She brought in people like, James Cleveland, Albertina Walker and the Caravans when Shirley Caesar was with them. Five Blind Boys of Alabama, Pilgrim Jubilees, Violinetta, all these gospel great five mighty clouds of joy, all that kind of stuff, and so like, of course when she put because my mom put the group together, my mom and my dad, and once they put the group together and once we were in shape enough to perform, of course, nepotism was alive and well in our family, you know what I'm saying? So whatever my mom would bring in, we would, of course, open the show for them. We opened up the show. And so, we opened up shows at that time as far as like in the Akron, Cleveland, Canton area for all those groups that I said previously and more. And then we started like kind of going on in the summertime. We would go when we get out of school. We hit like that gospel chitlin circuit. You know what I'm saying? And up and down the East Coast, Midwest, up through parts of Canada on that side of the country. So we had a great time. It was that's. But my mom couldn't. I mean, my mom or my dad, they couldn't carry a note in a bucket, man. And it was funny on my mom's radio broadcast. She had a broadcast every Sunday morning, like about 7 o'clock in the morning. Have church announcements, gospel music, all that kind of stuff. And she was number one in her slot for 30, 40 years or so. But they used to call her the way that they introduced her on the show. It says, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the lady with the golden voice." That's what they used to call my mom, the lady with the golden voice, because she'd come on and, just talking and smooth and the whole thing. and it was amazing. It was amazing.
It sounds amazing. Did you know, like, at that young of age that you would pursue a career in music? Were you thinking about like doing other things, or you were like set on music?
Music was what I knew, you know what I'm saying? So I kept, kind of expounding, moving towards that, even subconsciously. I played little, Pee Wee, Pop Warner football, something like that when I was like 10 or 11 or so. But it was like the music was what called me. That was my passion. I found my purpose, early in life without even knowing that I found my purpose. You dig? So it's like, it was this people say, well, what would you have done? Did you ever think about what you would do if you didn't do music? I don't know. I really don't know, so but this is what, the Lord blessed me with, and that's what I this is what I keep on going, where I keep going.
And so by 1976, you're, I guess, like 21 years old at the time, and you moved to Los Angeles. Did,
hmm
I guess you went there with the intent of pursuing a career in music.
I went there to get away from the snow for one thing, and yeah, I was like 20. I was 20 years old, and yeah, I touched down at LAX. Man, my cousin picked me up at the airport, when I came in, and I touched down at LAX. I had like $34 in my pocket, man. That was it. And I'm 20 years old, just like, but I had a ball. It was like I had no responsibilities, no wife, no kids, nothing. It was just me. So, I was like, no, I'm going. I'm getting it. A couple little snags came for a couple days leading up to me, splitting, but it all boiled down to real to be very cool, because then it was like the support of my family. Yeah, I was gonna sneak out. I was gonna sneak out of Akron. So, but with that, I had time to, those couple days gave me time to really get my mom and my dad's blessing on the trip, even though they didn't give me any money to go with me.
Definitely, but that you had the blessing.
I had the blessing, so that was cool.
Yeah, yeah, and you took a leap of faith, and it definitely paid off. And you basically start, networking, and you end up at this place called Maverick Flats in Crenshaw, and I
hmm
guess that's where like a lot of like things just start falling in place, meeting the right people, and allowing you to have like and establish a career in music. Is that
Yeah, Mavericks was more like a home away from home type of thing. I when I first got there, I think I went down to Mavericks about 2 or 3 weeks, if I remember right, after I had gotten there. A friend of mine, this cat T Tucker, was playing bass for one of the groups that were formed, down at Mavericks, and he invited me and my cousin to come down and check out the rehearsal, and they were rehearsing that he was with this group, rehearsing with this group called the Love Machine, and they were like seven, I mean, beautiful women, beautiful. Just, Kathleen Bradley, she was I guess Miss Parker and Friday or something like that, that lived across the street, with the shorty shorts. That's Kathleen Bradley. She was in there, but even since then, she was the first black model on The Price is Right, so she was back in the day. That's what she was. Her and six other women that they did top 40 stuff, danced and sang, and just beautiful. What they had gone all around the world, So that night they were auditioning for Tom Jones to for him to consider them opening up for him. And so, like, we went down, my cousin and I went down to rehearsal, and then that's when I met John Daniels, and he expressed the situation that he wanted to put together a group, top 40 show group, really classy, the whole thing. Uh, the singers would include two males and three females, is what he envisioned. And he wanted to call it Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying? So we started rehearsing, putting people together, and hiring, firing people. And after about a year, I guess it was about a year. I got to get my timelines right, but uh, after about a year, we were ready to tour, and our first gig was over in Helsinki, Finland. And the Hesperia Hotel. I remember, man, I was like, had to fly into Heathrow, into London, and stay in London for about 2 or 3 days before we could go and move on into Helsinki. So that's the first time. That was in '77. So it was about a year. Yeah, it was about a year after, a little more than a year after I got in there. You know.
What was it like culturally in London? Because you hear like a lot of different like artists, like particularly of color, say like they feel like they were more received overseas, particularly like I know like in the '70s and stuff. There was still a little bit of like racism in certain places. You know,
Yeah.
uh, like you would you say it was a difference culturally?
Well, for black music over in the UK, throughout the UK, black music is like, huge. I remember going there, like I said, in '77, and went down to a place called Piccadilly Circus. That's where all the clubs and all the music things and restaurants and the movie theaters and all that stuff was down there. So you go down there, and I think it was the first night I had gotten to to London, the first or second night. So I went down there, and there was this Elizabethan theater, and across the front of the theater was a banner that said soul music. And that was it, soul music. They were playing records inside of there. And that place, people were wrapped around the block, to go there. And it was mainly white people. White people were like, there's a famous MTV interview with David Bowie and one of the cats, early guys in MTV, and it's famous because David Bowie said they were interviewing him, and the guy said, "Well, you can ask any question," and so David says, "Well, is it true that you know you guys don't play black music on MTV on this channel?" And the guy started, because he said, the dude says, like, choose, you can ask me anything, because he had finished all his questions and stuff for David Bowie. And so that was the first question David Bowie asked. And the cat was like, well, our format and blah, blah, blah. And then David Bowie says, but it just intrigues me that you guys call yourself a music entity and you don't play black music. And the guy was just like taken aback, man. And it was true at that time especially, they didn't play any black music. So I think uh, Billie Jean and Dead Giveaway, Shalamar Dead Giveaway were the first couple uh, black videos that they started playing on MTV back in the day.
Wow. Yeah, and like by 1978, you get the call to join Shalamar. You took over for Gerald Brown, you know, um, and you're in Shalamar with Jody Watley and Jeffrey Daniel, and you guys are recording songs, such as Second Time Around, Make That Move, A Night to Remember,
Mhm.
Dancing in the Sheets, this is For the Lover and You. And
Mhm.
then Watley and Daniels separately leave the band.
Mhm.
What was your feelings about their departure?
It was like, uh, are you serious right now? Because it was almost like you played a football player. He's played Pee Wee, Pop Warner, high school football into college. Then he made the show. He made the NFL. And he's in the NFL, and they work hard during the season. They're in the playoffs. They do that championship. Boom. Then you go to the big show, to the Super Bowl, and you got a few seconds left, and you got the ball, and you're running down the field, and you're getting ready to make the winning touchdown, and you get to the 1 yard line and stop and throw the ball down and said, I don't want to play no more. You know what I'm saying? And so that was kind of how it felt. I mean, everybody had their reasons, but and I had to respect that, and I still totally respect that today, because everybody has different agendas as they're growing up, especially as they're maturing as young people. And we were really young. We were like, at the time when all that was going on, I was like 25, 24, 25, somewhere around there. And and so like, at that time I said to Dick Griffey, I said, who owned the cat that owned Solar Records. I said, well, Jeffrey and Jody split, maybe this is a good time for me to just do my solo trip, right? Well, you still got, 2.5, 3 years left on this contract. So you can either spend that time doing nothing, ride the contract out, or you could, fight it in court, go to court, fight it, try and get it, get out of the contract. Or you could go overseas the way Jeffrey and Jody went overseas and all that kind of stuff. Or you can do another Shalamar project, what do you want to do? So like I definitely wasn't gonna sit around, you know what I'm saying, for 2.5, 3 years. And I don't like court, court's like, like going to Vegas and throwing dice, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't going overseas. My roots and my family is over here, so and my fan base is over here. So base for that at that time, from what I could understand, and so like I said okay. We made another deal, and I went in and did another the last Shalimar project, the Heartbreak album, and went on the road. That's when I brought Mickey Free in, and we brought Delisa Davis in, and man, Mickey, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's my dog, man. He's like, we had so much fun, during that 2.5, 3 years, man. It was crazy. He helped me get through that thing, man. Had me laughing and just. So it was a good thing. That 2.5 years, 2.5, 3 years. And got some good stuff on the Heartbreak album. Nothing that just made a whole bunch of noise, but it was all good.
Yeah, that was a great lineup change, and I was watching like the interview I think you have on your YouTube channel with Mickey Free, and you can see like the chemistry that you guys are like brothers, and really like like have a strong connection, and I think that was a great lineup change, and
Hmm.
you guys like I mean ended up winning the Grammy for
Hmm.
"Don't Get Stopped in Beverly Hills," and you had like a top 20 hit. Was it pressure to prove you could succeed without the original lineup?
I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people ask that question, and honestly, as I sit back and look at it, see, I'm I'm almost to a fault. I'm good, really, really good at compartmentalizing. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen people with the simplest lives try to live it all at one time, and it's just disastrous. So, at an early age, I think I learned how to compartmentalize. I didn't know what it was called at that time, but when I started getting older and researching and reading about it, it's called compartmentalizing, where you got a thing here, what's happening, and you take it, boom, you put it up in this compartment, close it up, lock it up, and then you're on to the next thing. So, I don't really like to think of things as pressure, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just life. It's just things
Right.
that you go through. It's life, and life is full of changes. So I got a whole bunch of compartments up there, man. Each of my ex-wives have their own compartments, you know what I'm saying? And Shalimar has this compartment. My kids, they each of them have their own compartment. You know what I'm saying? And like and it's I manage it well that way. And as far as pressure is concerned, my when I go in the studio, anytime I go in the studio, it's about putting forth your best foot, putting forth your best thing. I'm not trying to outdo the whatever or whatever. I'm not trying to compete about against myself. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Right. Right.
It's just about, going in there and doing your best, and like coming out with a piece of product that you can be proud of. You know what I'm saying? So that's has been my mantra, so to speak, or my mindset ever since I really started recording. Is to go in and just do the best that you can.
Man, it's such a positive attitude. Like, you seem to have a great mantra on life. You
Mm,
eventually go solo. And in 1985, before signing your solo deal with Elektra Records, you're arrested and indicted in Miami with your fiance for
mm,
possession with an intent to distribute cocaine. You
mm,
eventually beat the charges, but you were facing some serious time before the trial. And you
mm,
release your solo album, I Commit to Love. It goes platinum. You know,
mm.
what was like, all the drama around that situation and all
That's
tying it down.
That's the whole thing, man. When you listen to the I Commit to Love album, you have to realize that, praise the Lord, that's why I talk about pressure as far as no pressure. Nah. I had to put I had to put that what I call actually I call it my misunderstanding with the US government. You know what I'm saying? And so, I had to put that at the time in its compartment because we were postponing and dragging trial time out, until I could finish my record. You know what I'm saying? So when you listen to the I Commit to Love album, you have to realize that I did that album, with all that stuff hanging up over my head.
Right.
And like, thank God, man, the Lord is amazing. He's good all the time he's good. And it wasn't really until I totally released that whole thing because once I finished the record, once I finished the album, then I had to my attorney and I had to get ready for this trial. We had a month or so, a couple months, I can't remember, to get ready for this trial. And the trial was a 4-day situation, in front of a jury, 12 people, the whole thing. And it was like, okay, because basically what this was about was guilt by association,
Right.
and also they were trying to get a conspiracy jacket on me. And so like, it was like conspiracy is such a bogus situation. If you and I are hanging out, and they've been following me and investigating me for like 3 or 4 months, and then you and I decide, okay, hey man, let's hook up, let's connect, go to a movie, you know what I'm saying, go hang out, and then I get busted when you're with me, then all the evidence that they compiled on me, they can use it on you if they
Right.
can get
Right.
a conspiracy situation. So that's where that whole thing was. And it wasn't until about the second about the second day of the trial, man, it was like you talking about something serious because the law has a lot of loopholes and stuff, and like, you're saying, wait, what? And it's kind of crazy. And so, about maybe the second day, third day into the trial, and where I was staying, the house that I was staying in, they had an atrium outside, out screened in, atrium type, bunch of plants and stuff, and real tropical, beautiful. I love the weather at certain times down in Florida. And so like I took my Bible that night, man, and I couldn't sleep. We had to get trial the next day. And I took my Bible and I went into that atrium and I put my Bible on the floor and I stood on my Bible and I said, Lord, I am literally standing on your word. I said, there's a whole bunch of people that are in prison for something they didn't do. And why should I be any different? So I'm giving this up to you, standing on your word, giving. And then, went through the trial and then got to the whole situation when they turned it over to the jury. The jury went out for about an hour and a half, and an hour of that was lunch, so they deliberated about 30, 40 minutes, came back straight not guilty. So, which was, the right verdict anyway. So all these young cats talking about they have a case, man. I had a case a long time ago, brother. I had a case a long time ago.
Man, yeah, you were facing some serious time. I'm glad you beat those charges, and stuff. I know, like, you know, uh, I hate court too, and stuff, everything. Nobody wants to. I don't want to deal with the legal system. I just,
Mhm.
keep me out of that.
Don't get caught up in that because you can get caught up in that whole situation and like And if you don't have the right type of legal people, dealing, which unfortunately a lot of us don't have the
Right.
money for the right type of legal situation, then you could get caught up in some crazy stuff. I mean, that thing cost me a lot of money, man, but praise the Lord, the truth prevailed, and like, I went, I got, the Lord got me through that, but it wasn't like a cheap situation. And I
Right.
think that was probably one of the few times in my life where I really felt a stress situation. And so like it was really important, to get through that and get back on the path that I needed to get onto.
Most definitely. Did it feel good, like like releasing your album and like it being a success?
That felt amazing. What even felt more amazing was the confidence and everything that everybody put in me, even going through that whole Miami experience. My record company stood behind me. The friends that I had, they stood beside me. And that was even, and then on top of that, praise the Lord, release a successful project. And so I thank God every day for that, every day.
Man, such a blessing. And I see, like from like your YouTube channel, you were talking about like how you, or no, it was a past interview you did where you were talking about how you built a studio in Las Vegas recently, and like you were recording there. And I wanted to know, like, is there going to be any new music in the future from you? You got plans to release?
Oh yeah, we're in a couple of weeks, actually in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I'm gonna release we're gonna release a tune that I wrote actually 30 years ago, and did a flip on it, with some cats out of Houston, and unfortunately, the lyrics of this song still apply, even as prominent today as they did back then, unfortunately, because that means we have not progressed where we're supposed to progress. And so we're going to release that, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that I've done with my son, Christopher, and he produced a couple of things, and 3 or 4 songs from this, like I said, these cats out of Houston. Bunch of stuff. We're getting. I'm just dropping singles. It's about singles now. It's like, I'll drop a few singles, 3 or 4 or 5 singles and stuff, and then put like maybe an EP or a short album of those singles together. So there's a lot of stuff, and the studio is, we bought a house. I bought this house, and my son is making it into, like a production house. And so I'll go when I get serious, because I don't think I could live in Vegas. I'm not a big Vegas fan, but I can go there and hang out, and
Right.
and record work a little bit and stuff. So it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. Vegas, like I've spent some time there and stuff. Everything it's too hot,
Yeah,
115
it's
degrees
hot.
some days.
Oh man, too hot, too close to stuff, and it's like but it's a good place to have a piece of property, at
Right.
this time. So, that'll be a plus as far as that goes.
You're heading the Milwaukee Urban League annual fundraiser next month. It's exciting to be performing live, especially after the COVID restrictions throughout the U.S. and most places last year.
Yeah, I'm excited about performing all the time now. It's like I started back working. I think it was April or May, or started. But then once everything started kind of opening up, my schedule came back with a vengeance, man. It's October is crazy, November is crazy, and December starts kind of calming down a little bit, but they're still wanting me to go over to so we're still putting that trip together, as far as, and watching their numbers. I want to see their numbers come down a little bit more, because I'm gonna get there. Now it's still, it's still a situation where there's no meet and greets, although some people slide them in as in some kind of way, some kind of situation. But I'm double vaccinated, and also had a little round with it when I was just in England, and so I had to quarantine in London for about 10 days. So I had mild symptoms, didn't have any severe symptoms and stuff. So, but all the same, it still gave me extra antibodies, and I'm still looking at the going to get the booster because I'd be eligible for the booster, but I'm just checking stuff out. So I'm excited about performing everywhere now, everywhere we can. you
Most
know,
definitely, man. I hope like you come to my area. Like I really appreciate like you taking the time, and
Definitely.
like I listen to your music and stuff and everything. I'm gonna hopefully make some more kids in the future to your music. So man, definitely.
Some of the stuff I'm doing, you can it definitely is conducive to that whole situation. So,
Most definitely,
but,
man.
but check it out, man. It's just like, it's all about social media now and stuff. So, just to let your people know, I hang out a lot on Facebook,
Okay.
facebook.com/Howard Hewitt fan page. So it's my Facebook fan page, and the Twitter account is just the vocalist, JUSTAVOCALIST, just the vocalist. And then Instagram is Howard_Hewitt, HEWETT, not ITT. They've been trying to get me to spell it ITT since kindergarten, but I'm holding out. It's HEWETT. So, yeah,
Most definitely. I'll tag you, man, and I appreciate you for taking the time.
appreciate you having me, man. God
Most
bless you.
definitely. God
All
bless
right.
you.